Views and expressions of everybody on this panel do not reflect Culture Casino nor its affiliates. Copyright 2022 Culture Casino, all rights reserved.
So you're hearing my friend Culture Casino's end of his stream. And today is kind of a somber day for America. Most Americans, I'll say. I wanted to stream today no matter what happened. And today I probably should not be streaming. I should be taking care of my money, which today's one of those days that 9/11 was not a day I nearly even thought to expect. 21 years ago today, I was off work. I was actually employed at this time in Illinois 21 years ago today, but this was the week that I had scheduled for my week off, September 10th through 14th. And I was going to spend Monday night with friends and other individuals that I'm fairly close with. We were going to just kind of hang out all week because a lot of us had taken the week off. We were going to do a LAN party for Diablo 2. And this new movie came out called The Musketeer. Oh, look, the twin lava lamps of Anakin Skywalker. So we went and saw the Musketeer on that night, on September 10th. And then I had to drive Ben back, which he lived 45 minutes away from everybody else in Decatur. So I did that. And once we, separated everybody and everybody got to their usual locations, I went back to Decatur, stayed over at Cecil's because that's where the PC was. And hey, lovely Sherry, how are you? We started the next day getting woke up by phone calls. My parents were on the phone asking me if I was watching TV. It's like 8 o'clock, and I'm like, no, I just woke up. And Mom says, turn on the TV right now. And I get to watch pretty much every channel's in panic mode. Hey, Scott Westbrook, how you doing? Lovely Sherry. I just sat down watching television for the next 10 hours, which I never do. I do it now because I watch YouTube. It's actually interesting on YouTube, even though it's just live streams and a bunch of rank amateurs like myself. I find YouTube to be really great, but television, I never would sit down for marathons like this. Even Band of Brothers, I could only watch 3 hours of that at a time. But me and my friends were assembled over at Cecil's, and Cecil's wife was there, and so she grabbed coffee for us, which that was the only acceptable way for us to start coming to. And about 5 p.m., I called in on the blood bank, and they were still open. So I took my AB positive self, and I went over to the blood bank, and I donated. By the end of September 11th, we had names. We had an idea of who it was that was targeting us. Middle Eastern world was having a street party. A lot of people don't want to talk about that, but if you don't talk about the historical facts, what are you doing? You're just obfuscating. You're just trying to rewrite history. You're trying to ignore the things that really happened. And now that we've been over the course of time, we've had a chance to look at things, and we haven't been the best caretakers of people with less technology and in third world circumstances. No, we have not, but it just really it it really frustrated the shit out of me that within 4 hours these people are on the television. The talking heads are talking about bin Laden. Hell, in MSNBC was talking about it at like 9 a.m. and you got bin Laden being talked about at 10 a.m. Eastern time, 9 a.m. my time, because I'm just south of Chicago, and nobody wants to talk about this. Like, listen, this is something that's built up for years. Yeah, I mean, they hated us because we were Israel's ally, but we might get a conspiracy theory. This channel might be destroyed by the end of the day. This channel might be rubble in the YouTube dustbin by the end of the day, because we're watching it, and first a plane hits, and that was before I woke up, and then the second plane hits, and I got to watch that live, and then building 7 fell down, and that's always been a point of contention among people that are thinking, how did that happen? Was it just the shock waves that went through the port district that made it collapse, or was it something else? Was it something more nefarious, like a planned demolition? And that's something that really never has been answered. I mean, it has been, but you mentioned the sources, or you mentioned the education as to where you got that from, and the same people that told you that follow the science, they're trying to shout you down. Papa Cotton says everyone talks about what they remember that morning. I remember when the towers came down, thinking it looked exactly like every casino demolition my dad took us to see in Vegas. I never have seen a demolition of a building in person, and there's probably part of me that's probably healthier because I haven't, but I always worry that, like, I would have, like, oh wow, there's some asbestos in me. It's bad enough I was in a frigate, a Knox class frigate, for many years, and not really for many years, barely a year, over a year, but it felt like years because we were rehabbing it, trying to get it to where it would sail across the Atlantic, and it wasn't in good shape. It was in really bad shape. I'll say that. I mean, we had documentation that filled volumes of trapper keepers and 3.5-inch diskettes. Okay, and the Turkish guys that leased that ship from us, they knew they were getting a piece of shit. That was in '94. That was USS McCandless 1084 FFT, and I think the asbestos I got in my lungs, if I had the start of mesothelioma. Here we go with the ads, the targeted ads. Bruce, do you have mesothelioma? Do you know that you could be entitled to compensation? Well, we're going to be seeing those in my Google here pretty soon, but I don't use Google, I use Brave. But I'm just saying that you have these demolitions that go off in larger communities, and Vegas is most notable because when a casino loses its peak earning potential, they decide, hey, we've got this new building design, and it would fit perfectly on a strip right here where that one's currently at. And so they decide, well, here's the day that we're going to get rid of this casino. And then the next thing you know, you got a crowd there just within distance of being able to see it, and maybe even get a little dusting by the clouds. And I've never seen one of those live. I kind of want to, but I kind of don't. my reserve time was spent in Shelbyville, Illinois, for the most part, blowing up old pavilions and other items on a state park because we had an Army Air Corps or Army Corps of Engineer guy. He did enlist when it was Army Air Corps. I will say that. He was an old fucker. He was an Army engineer, and all he did every month for 28 days was sit and wait for the SEALs and the fucking local EOD guys and the rest of us CBs to show up. Because we had some interesting guys in Illinois. And we'd show up and everybody get their requisite things. I got my skid steer, my non-air conditioned skid steer. And we go demo stuff. But plowing over a pavilion or gazebo is not the same scale as casino. But 9/11 is just one of these days that I try not to get upset. You know, it took me 16 years to be able to say the word Muslim without the word fucking in front of it. I didn't have a tolerance for Muslims for many years, and I had been exposed to them on more peaceful conditions when we were turning over our ship to the Turkish, because most of the Turkish guys that were there were Muslim, and they seem pretty okay. You don't feed them bacon or don't offer them sausage, but they seem pretty okay. But now here it is, 2001, and America gets a real education on, you know, what a quote unquote holy book says. And then everybody comes out and says, hey, you know, Muslims don't want to destroy America. Well, you know, they did a hell of a bang up job. 2,900 people plus lost their lives today. And it took me many years. And I had to study their text. I also had to become a born again Christian at one point because my world just got really dark at one point. It's bad enough I was living in Illinois. It was bad enough that I was fighting unemployment half the time because you get a job and then your job's like, hey, our taxation's out the fucking any profitability we thought we were going to make is gone because we're here in Illinois, so we're going to leave. If you want to come with us, here's the cost. Bye. And so you're always fighting that in downstate Illinois. And while I was doing that, I was at least trying to go to college. Did take a semester of religion, and that was where the majority of my education came from. Papa Cotton's like, the official story is absolute horseshit. Yeah, it is. And the thing is that if you read the text, you know, I mean, you can see where somebody who is a dyed in the wool, you know, like they're a true believer Muslim, you can see where they really hate anybody that's not thinking like them. And the problem that I have with that isn't the fact they feel that way. It's the fact that so many people try to cover for it. Just be honest and say, this sect of people believes every word of this book. And I'd be okay with that. Because then they would at least wear a uniform and identify themselves as that. Even if they don't wear a uniform, because some passages, some surahs say, be deceptive in order to get the kill. But, you know, that's fine. Just be honest. And we weren't getting that. We weren't getting that out of our politicians back then. They lied to us. They gave us this thing called a Patriot Act, which they made us feel like we were doing something good. And then you do some research. The only time Homeland Security has ever been used was in Nazi Germany. What? If you don't go with the Patriot Act, you must be one of them. What? And the more that time has gone on, I mean, okay, guys, I guess you kicked our ass because the purpose of terrorism is to inflict a psychological wound that doesn't go away. And, well, here's America. She's got a gaping fucking wound. But I don't hate all Muslims. And it took me a long time to get to that point because I had to move out of my small area into San Antonio. You're bumping into people from all over. And it took me a period of real discovery on that. But majority of them that I was bumping into were doing things like, "Hey, I'm going to school and I'm learning to read." Oh, that's cool. Where are you from? Afghanistan. Where I'm from, they don't let us read. What? And that's the majority of these guys that our military was helping over there. The majority of people that were trying to help out the United States military in Afghanistan that we brought over here were mostly illiterate. They had no ability to read. So anything they were taught about religion was given to them by people, and they had to kind of put their trust in them. And therefore, if the people that were reading their holy book weren't really good moral people, like they weren't going to get a good moral teaching on it. And so I've met more people that have had to go on their own personal religious journey to find their answers that they would be satisfied with than anything else. Pop Cotton's probably trying to scream, "Don't, dude." I'm not saying that I love them. People that want to go find their own answers, I encourage that. Christianity can handle answers. From what I understand, the Islamic religion has a very hard time of handling answers because it gets very cyclical. It gets very circuitous on its answers, thanks to Muhammad. And I really hate that individual. I can't stand him. But, Papa, does that mean you're only going to smoke half your stash instead of all of it? The thing is that you have this day which has been marred by America. It's been marred in American history by that one religion, by a religion that's supposedly practiced by 1/3 of the earth, which I really doubt is an actual fact. They won't let actual numbers come out of a lot of countries that are theocratic in the Middle East. They won't let those numbers come out because you can't have numbers in Iran where they talk about like, hey, so many people converted to Christianity, because that's a not allowed religion in Iran. You got to practice that shit in secret. You got to do that away from your mates and buddies. You can't do that in front of people. You will get grilled, you'll get shot, your wife will get raped by the entire town. You can't do that over there. So it's a funny society, kind of dangerous. Hey, Man of War, how you doing? He says, Amigo as well, I'm listening while replacing a window regulator in the old lady's car. My old lady had her gallbladder taken out on Thursday, which has kind of negatively impacted my time. But today I thought I had to stream and do this. But I really, you can't have real numbers of like what religion gets more people here or there, because you have a lot of inaccurate reporting. It's like, asking Saddam Hussein, how many people really voted for you? How many people really wanted regime change? According to the guy standing in the election booth holding the AK-47 to the head of the schlup that was told to go in there and make a vote. And like I said, I don't have a problem with the majority of Muslims. I have more of a problem with Catholics that are not willing to be honest about their religion sins. Because we live in America, and America is a fairly tolerant country. We really are. But you fuck with kids, and Americans should be as vicious to the offenders as prison inmates should be. We really should. You want to fix a nation? Don't let the kids get touched. Hey, Aaron Castor, how you doing? Pop Cotton says, watch this after the stream. I'll do that. Aaron Castor, I am doing pretty damn good. Papa Cotton says, I'm on my last gram of shatter. That means I'm not going to say things that get Bruce in trouble. But it was 21 years ago. If 9/11 was a child, it could drink today. Do you understand how weird it is to say that? Like 21 years ago. And a lot of the people that were there at Ground Zero, medical issues, lung issues, just all sorts of problems. As much as I want to focus on the hatred, because that's what defined me for 10 or 20 years, it's not going to help me. It's not going to help me be a better person for myself, not going to help me be a better husband. When I need to summon it, I can. That's the great thing about anger. It's like listening to a doctor, listen to Dr. Drew Pinsky. Letting anybody listen to Dr. Drew Pinsky should fill them with rage. You know, Dr. Drew, you have a real penchant for finding these ladies that are financially stable and they can afford your cure that you offer. It's like Bruce Lombardo. He's a hell of a gynecologist. Bruce Lombardo has this amazing ability as a doctor to find this pure, virile, young, perky, smooth, shaved vagina that's 20 years old. It's like Dr. Drew Pinsky's version of a gynecologist. And if you're a fucking medical practitioner, it shouldn't take you that much time to get pissed off because you think about Dr. Drew and how he made his money. Pop Cotton said, that one's a mind blower. Awesome One says, RIP 9/11. Man of War 665. Neighbor of the Beast says, oh yeah, I may call you with my old lady's rotator cuff repair and raise you my ruptured bicep tendon. All bullshit aside, best wishes the wifey and her speedy recovery. Yeah, I do appreciate it. I'm sorry you're going through the things you got today. I'm just upset that like freaking gallbladder gave out this week. Thanks, gallbladder. You're a real friend. I'm sure all the blocks around the towers and all civilians got sick from the dust that whipped up from tower collapses. Dude, if they were honest, and that's going to be my major focus of this stream, we haven't been honest for 21 years. We've not. Building 7, all the mesothelioma, all the asbestos-related deaths, all the first responders that are no longer with us because they were there on site for the collapse that day and trying to get people out. Worked nights at FedEx. I had just laid down and sleep when I got a phone call to turn on the TV, and I saw it all go down. It says the Awesome One. You know, the problem that I have, Shellback, is that I didn't see a plane fuselage or wing outside the Pentagon, and I felt that way for over 21 years. Now, I understand people died at the Pentagon, but I don't think it was a plane. I think it was a missile. I keep hearing about a tape where there's a missile. I've seen a bootleg copy of a tape that was a missile. But it's kind of like when you watch a Blob Squatch or a Yeti video or Sasquatch video, and it's kind of like blurry as shit. It's like, what the fuck am I watching here? And that's what I'm talking about. Because like there's a video that's out there. It's not really too good. It's kind of grainy. In Flight 93, those fuckers, God bless those fuckers. I hope those guys got a first admittance into heaven. Because they saw what was going on and they refused to become victims. They chose the way that they went, which I was so happy about. That was the only victory we had that day. Iron Capture says, I was 12 at the time. I can remember the teachers trying to be hush-hush as they were getting news. Something bad had happened. There was a young lady I was with in 2003 that told me what happened at school because she was a senior that year. Mind you, I'm like 26 when I was going through 2001. Like I said, I'm a 1975 baby. That's all over the web. She's telling us what the teacher is telling us at the time, and just the teacher's just this angry, be a blue haired, pink pussy hat wearing teacher saying, it's about time America got this. Oh, yeah, why don't you go dance on a street corner somewhere in the Middle East, hold your sign up, America is the biggest terrorist of all. Because that's what we saw that day. And it wasn't a good day for anybody, really, because it wasn't long after that we sent our troops over there. I keep wondering if Afghanistan was really a good place to send our guys, or if it was just a convenient spot to park them because of all that opium. Had a few friends that died over there. When I say a few, about 12. Had a lot of little brothers and little sisters that came back fucked up from that. Anybody here familiar with Paris, Illinois? Paris, Illinois was like one of the worst hit communities. After the war on terror started, like the reserve unit they had out of Paris was just fucked, because there was like 26 people within the first 2 years that came back in a box, and it was just horrible. Like, this is it. This is we're sending our people off, and I've got friends in Mattoon and Charleston. They've got relatives in Paris, Illinois, and we didn't have a good couple years there. When I joined the American Legion, there's a few funerals I got to go to for this. It's just, and I don't think America has really recovered since then, because we've still got the fucking Patriot Act. We still have the TSA, and we have all these other loser agencies for the U.S. government that can't seem to get their work done unless it's harassing a 96-year-old lady. Excuse me, an 86-year-old airline passenger. TSA's never arrested one terrorist. Hey, Dad Man Walking, how you doing? Is like, yeah, scrambled porn is that grainy CCTV shit. Papa Cotton 5 echoes it. I find it odd the only camera at the Pentagon is a grainy security camera at the guard booth. And you know that there's more than that, just grainy camera, but it's all the other security footage is next to the Ark of the Covenant in the fucking warehouse, wherever they buried that shit at. We're not allowed to see what really happened. Afghanistan has been a way to keep the Middle East from rising up and making them forever fight each other. It's where a country goes to burn money. Now I guess that's Ukraine. Grumpy old ninja says, "Hola and hail, I'm having connection madness up in the wazoo, but I still have this old camera. I can't use it unless it's plugged in the phone. But thank the Lord for it. Hail our honored dead, and they stole us. They stole from us." Yeah, they did. I was hoping that if you guys have Culture Casinos Gilded, I've got a link for the StreamYard there if you want to jump in. We'll talk about this, because this is one of those days that, I figure every American's got a voice on this. I'm sure all of you have stories, or you can tell the rest of us where you were at that time. By the way, my week of vacation was kind of ruined by this, as was the rest of 2001. Because your head's spinning like, are we going to get hit? I live next to the giant soy processor in Decatur, Illinois. When's our plane going to crash into it? You have these thoughts in your head. Oh, shit. Okay, Ironcaster. But it's just one of those things that we had so many things just change forever since then. And it's we're not going to get those freedoms back. Something revolutionary will have to happen in the most honest sense of that word. And unless you guys are willing to do something, the way you see things going right now is how it's going to continue. Keep in mind, you don't need great numbers for change either. You just need a small, dedicated group of assholes. And we're still streaming. Wow. I'm so surprised that YouTube let me do this and say this today. But it's honest. I'm trying to be as honest as I can about shit. Do I agree with everything the United States did in the Middle East before that time? No, not really. I really wish we had never shown Saudi Arabia the oil under their sands. I would much rather them just continue to be assholes to each other in the Middle East, between Iran and Iraq and Saudi Arabia and all the other little countries there. I'd rather have them doing that, but the globalists got to have fucking ability to manipulate things, and having an oil economy kind of does that. Awesome One says, not just America, it's a global push to remove Western power and ideology. Yes, it is. That's the entire push. A lot of people don't want to talk about that. A lot of people don't want to even make mention of it. Grumpy Old Ninja says, Hola, hail, Bruce, the lovely Sherry, Scott Westbrook, Papa Cotton 5, Parrothead, Man of War 665, Neighbor of the Beast, Awesome One, Ironcaster, and Shellback DJC, and Hola and hail, Dadman Walking 55. Yeah, World Economic Forum. They're the ones in charge of this shit. And you guys, and I know it, you have Zelensky there being propped up by Klaus Schwab, and everybody, is trying to help out over there and get the embezzling train chugging forward. And then you have Operation, what is that? Was that Operation Paperclip, where we brought all the German scientists over here from World War II? We made NASA based on Werner von Braun and all of his notes he brought. It's like the grandkids of Operation Paperclip are now kind of in, going around and working with the Chinese. We'll just have the wet markets be to blame. Yeah. You vote on nothing and love it, says Klaus Schwab. It's kind of funny. I don't see people in developed countries saying they love being poor and vassals. They don't like being a feudal slave or serf. Everybody wants to be gentry. Everybody wants to be lorded, or, have their own title and land and ability to be taxed and pay for it with the fruits of that land. It's kind of funny that not enough people are actually standing up to this. It's being stood up to slowly and surely. The multi-gunman, Bruce, how's it going? Fairly well. Trying to get this little dancing girl done, or at least started. Working on her today. Some other figs. I would want to know what's the next step, because last week they made some rumors and statements about trying to get big tech to get social media under control. They don't want to have things like Rumble and Odyssey. YouTube is a hard enough platform to police anyway, but they are really having a hard time with that. And just, we need to have big tech step in and help moderate the entire internet. It's kind of cute. Grumpy Kentaro says, first generation builds wealth, second generation grows it, third generation spends it, and fourth generation gives it all to Hail Hydra. Thanks. Thanks, kids. You fucked us on that one, didn't you? I don't know if you guys have seen the new 25-year South Park anniversary concert. It's on YouTube. Matt Stone, Trey Parker are musical geniuses, and they've got a whole concert in Colorado where they sing songs from the 25 years of South Park they've done. The encore they have is a medley between America, Fuck Yeah, and America by Neil Diamond. So if you guys get a chance to watch it, I want you to check it out. There's a point in that video where Trey Parker says, guys, we couldn't have South Park in any other country but America. Boy, ain't that the truth. Couldn't have anything they've done anywhere else on the planet. Grumpy and Multi-Gunman getting to know each other. They want freedom of speech exterminated. They do. They don't want you guys to have the ability to go to Walmart and complain about Brandon and how he's ruined your 401k and taken away your ability to retire at the age of 63. Really hope that you guys go into your human resources tomorrow and start looking at where your money's going for your retirements. If you have the chance to get it out of the WEF hands, that's the best thing you could do. If you're stuck with it, then just pull your money out of retirement and play the lottery instead, because your money is going to be as good as spent anyway by the time that you do retire if you give it to the WEF. Thanks to you, you have funded us with a digital dollar that now we can track every transaction that you make. It's a hell of a thought, isn't it? We'll let this girl dry for a bit and hit her with a second Coke here. So how's everybody in the chat doing today? Multi-Gunman says, we will have to work until we're dead. Then we'll be turning into Soylent Green for the rest of the sheep. Soylent Green! It's people! I really hope they never make a remake of that movie. That would make me rather sad. I have a feeling they're going to try to make a remake of it, though. Computer. If you guys haven't seen the movie Soylent Green, the Wikipedia page sums it up for you pretty well. If you like dystopian science fiction from the 70s, it's a good movie. I'm not a fan of dystopian science fiction from the 1970s. The worst, the one I always go back to is Logan's Run, but that's still not a happy movie to watch. Grumpy Old Ninja says, I'm surprised Rumble's still around, but I'm there too. It wasn't Democrats that voted to tax retirement back in 1983, where it never had been since big Democrats had created the retirement money. Yeah, they were the ones that started this. I mean, you can look back in time, and the elite ruling caste have always been in favor of protecting their wealth and spending yours. And it doesn't really matter what side of the aisle they're on. It's got to be more mentality. If these people have a mentality where they don't believe that you are as entitled as them, that's where you need to start drawing your lines at and figuring out, okay, how do I help get this person a new job? I don't want J.D. Pritzker to be a governor in Illinois ever again. J.D. Pritzker and Lori Lightfoot complain about Greg Abbott. You're complaining about a guy who parks in wheelchair handicap parking, okay? I'm just trying to let you know this, Mr. Pritzker, and I don't think you understand that. I don't think Abbott's really your biggest problem. I think really you have other issues, but You'd rather address Abbott. You'd rather talk about Abbott. Because the moment you talk about what you're doing in Illinois, you look very, very feckless. Awesome one says, I watched some of the China Moon Festival. My favorite part was they said families are celebrating the return of Hong Kong and Taiwan to the homeland. Boy, I'm so glad that we're staying true to our word that we're going to help out Taiwan. You know that ain't going to happen. You know Biden's just going to let that one. I mean, we all were there for Afghanistan, right? We all saw what happened in Afghanistan. Soylent Green is poggers. I love dystopian sci-fi in general because it serves as a good warning sign. They started using it as playbooks. I'm not so sure. And Greg Abbott is part of the problem. Yeah, he really is. He hasn't decried the World Economic Forum as a harmful agency or harmful organization to the planet. And if you know anything about the World Economic Forum, you realize just exactly what type of trouble we're in, because those guys are the ones making a lot of decisions for a lot of places. What Gunman says, if they remake the movie, Charlton Heston's character will be a non-binary, transgender, homosexual, with purple hair, 14 rings in its face, and he fights the patriarchy. Plus, Donald Trump makes Soylent Green. The old game Deus Ex, you could pick up these chocolate bars in that game. They would help return like 3 or 4 hit points to you. But if you looked at the packaging on there, it told you this is recycled human flesh, which was a good throwback to Soylent Green. I'm not the only one that saw The Musketeer in 2001, am I? Had Mina Suvari, a bunch of others. Not a very notable movie, though. Wasn't nearly as good as the Three Musketeers from 1993 with Kiefer Sutherland and Oliver Platt and Charlie Sheen. That's probably one of my favorite Three Musketeers versions I've seen. Somebody in chat's just like, I like Three Musketeers because of all the nougat. Oh, God. Grumpy Old Ninja says, oh, they would love to turn this planet into Soylent Green and a brave new world. They kind of have. I mean, most places on the planet, you can't talk about politics like we do here. I mean, Gretchen Whitmer, she'll invent some story. Shellback says, I'm tired as fuck. Should be sleeping, but I don't think I'll be able to turn my brain down enough to relax to sleep. Sucks because I've been up since 2 or 3 p.m. yesterday. I'll tell you what, Shellback, you got a lot of energy. Go ahead and click that little box right there. I'll bring you on in. Let's talk about 9/11 and the world today. And get you tired out so you can go find your pillow. Deus Ex has been freed from Squeenix, so hopefully we'll get some new games. I don't even need new games. I just need dedicated level design and environmental designers to open up the Unreal LED for the first or second one and give us some new missions. There were some very fine mods that came out for Deus Ex. But I'm also that guy that I don't uninstall a game once I beat it. I just keep it on the hard drive and I'll leave it there for a year and then I'll go back to the ModDB. Company says, I'm supposed to be at work right now. But my work machine ain't connecting. Work is overrated. If we go to a digital dollar, we're all going to lose our jobs anyway. We'll have to find a new way to have income. And so the new income will be a socialist coin. All of you will have it. It'll be like food. You will want more, but nobody will get it. It's a shame what Klaus Schwab has done. I would love to see Squeenix make great Deus Ex games, but that didn't happen. Yeah, digital dollars, be afraid of those. Exactly. We're owed about 2 sequels to Deus Ex. Awesome one says, I have so many poor coworkers that only use cash. A digital dollar will cripple the poor. Yes, it will. I fear that it will actually cause a movement to where you'll have the things that are required by the poor to go up in price. So, whereas you won't see things like T-bone steaks go up in price, you'll see the traded amount for food stamps on those items, the required amount be going up for that. But Spam, you buy Spam with cash, oh, that's $5 for 8 ounces. And some of you might already be paying $5 for 8 ounces of Spam, and I really feel sorry for you because it's $3 here, and that's still too much. I eat a lot of Spam. I know that's disgusting meat, but I like Spam. I actually like Spam. I'm a big pork guy. We had a pork roast last night. Not really a pork roast per se. I had a bunch of pork chops I dumped in the crock pot and threw in some veggies, and oh, so good. Grumpy tells Shellback, you may want to have a recharge nap before we dive into 9/11 and World Economic Forum. These topics are a little exhausting. Grumpy is like, I can still roll with and work with Spam. So can I. I learned about Spam very much in the United States Navy. No, ham out of a can is not disgusting, Papa Cotton. Ham out of a can is sometimes all you're going to get. And in certain environments, that's going to be the difference between you getting your protein amount you need or you losing muscle mass just because you don't have the nutrients to help fund it, to help build it. I genuinely like Spam. I think it's a delicious thing, and with the right spices, you can damn near fix anything. I mean, I wouldn't recommend you guys eat human fecal matter, and a lot of you compare Spam to that, but Spam for me is a step above Bologna. Yeah, I'll take Spam every day. Shit. Better Spam than cat food. Rip his haters' feet on. Oh, hey, I have a visitor. Shelly. Shelly, I can hear you now. How you doing, sir?
Just I was actually contemplating going live myself about 3:00 to talk about this shit. But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of half afraid to even go to sleep now because I gotta go to work work starts at like 7 p.m. I'm afraid I'd like oversleep or something. But
You're gonna be at work at 7 p.m. tonight. It is 1:30 almost where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
awesome one tells us that Guam pork's limited, so McDonald's has Spam in all the breakfast items. Grumpy says, well, pump those brakes. Spam and bologna are about the same in quality. Maybe so, but in my head, I'm not eating bologna.
I like Spam. I like bologna too.
I don't like bologna.
I mean, you got the you got the the beaks and hooves and type, but you also have the the type that they actually use the real meat, whatever. So either way, I grew up eating both of them, and
it didn't seem to affect you in a negative manner. I recognize you have 2 arms, 2 legs, and you can lift your own body weight, so I'm pretty okay with that. Has work been,
huh?
did you got your schedule fixed now, or is your schedule fixed?
Well, by fixed, I don't know if you mean that I now work Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday instead of Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I didn't get my wish of switching to a day shift, if that's what you're asking.
Well, you work in retail, so you never really get what you want in retail, but at least you're not a security guard, an unarmed security guard, which is around here. That's when your job prospects are that, you need to go to school and get some schooling.
Yeah.
Nothing against guys that do unarmed security, but that's a stepping stool job. It's like fast food.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Which there's not really much chance of somebody breaking in, I don't think, at my work overnight, but at the same time, I wish they didn't have a policy against someone carrying at work.
I can understand that. When I worked as a meat cutter, they wouldn't let us, when we were finished with our shift, we couldn't carry our knives upstairs into the office because they get worried, prematurely worried.
Well, the funny thing about that is, I mean, it's a little different, during business hours, that possibility, but yeah. Although it's funny because they'll let somebody come in and just like take something off the shelf and walk right out, because it's, they don't want any employees getting hurt, but they but they'll have us watch training videos on like an active shooter situation, and they give us it goes through the whole run, hide, fight thing, and it's like they you're watching this training video, and when it gets to the fight part, it's showing an employee with a carrying a fire extinguisher, about to bludgeon the bad guy with a gun, with the fire extinguisher, like over the head. And it's like,
It's really not well thought out, but okay.
I'm like, let me see here. Would I rather try and take, freaking homie McBad guy out by whacking him over the head with a fire extinguisher? Or would I rather have, be able to have my own firearm where I could, same thing he's got. That way I could reach out and touch him from across the room. From a safer position.
I tell you what, there was a mall shooting earlier this year, and the guy that was in the food court, the 22-year-old kid that pretty much drew from the hip, and 8 out of 10 bullets went into Batty McBad guy. Like, I hope he gets hired on somewhere and paid a dumb amount of money. I really do, because he earned it. That was a hell of a resume builder right there.
But I don't know. It's things like that make me think of, like the whole TSA thing, and not being able to carry more than an ounce of toothpaste onto the plane, or or like anything more anything more menacing looking than a box cutter, because of the shit that happened
I mean,
over 2 decades ago.
They won. Our entire livelihood, our way of travel, our way of getting around, our way of talking to people has been irrevocably changed for the worse. So the people that really appreciated what happened on September 9/11, terrorists and government combined, they got what they wanted. And I know that doesn't sound good, but I think even if the government was largely not involved with it, I think somebody from the USG probably was, because there's just too many instances where things got really just magically good for the government now. Nobody's questioning this shit. Nobody's saying, hey, we'd like to have our tax money back. We kind of figure we've got some bad investments going on, but nobody's got the ability to make that a legal case to where we go against the government. Be like, listen, we want to sue you for damages because for the past 21 years we've wasted money on the TSA and Homeland Security, and all this shit did was just ruin our fucking livelihood. That, and the poppy fields of Afghanistan never paid off for the American people either. So we'd like our money back for that. Hey, Travis, how you doing, buddy? He says, I love you, Bruce, in a totally non-Navy way.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I think they won, though. And I hate to say it, but they did, because you can't come and see anybody through the airport without getting a fucking wand up your butt. You can't go and enjoy yourself, on any public transportation. You've got to show your 2 forms of identification now and a corresponding blood type.
Well, no, now they've got those X-ray machines, that you go and you stand in, and they can, they can, practically, tell your religion by what they can see through your clothes.
Showback, did you know that in about 40 minutes you're going to need to use the restroom because of those pancakes you ate 6 hours ago? I mean, that's the level of shit they can find out from the exams and the X-rays and all that. They can figure out stuff like that. If your doctor had half the budget that these locations have for surveillance, like, you would never have a medical problem until it was your time to go. Travis says he just stopped in to say hi. Yeah, I agree with you, Shellback. I completely 100% agree with you. Shellback?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Are you getting tired, man, or are you?
Oh, well, not really. I mean, I'm tired, but I'm not. You know, I'm not. I'm not like the sleepy tired. I'm just tired.
Yeah, I get it. Well, you'll be more tired when you realize just where your money's gone for 21 years. When we finally have that disclosure, you'll be tired, and then you wake up angry.
Yeah.
Wait, I could have done this. Instead, I gave all my fucking tax money to you. If that ever happened on a nationwide basis, we'd have so much good change. I just need these people to think a bit, ask themselves some serious questions.
Well, I mean, we we left. You know, you talking about tax money and shit. um, we left how many dollars worth of equipment behind in Afghanistan?
Was it $80 billion? I believe it's $80 billion. I
It's
believe
like,
it's $80 billion.
you know, and freaking evacuated. They had us evacuate from a civilian airport. Okay, not the military base, where we belong. Okay, in this type of situation, but the fucking civilian airport.
Yep, that's completely true. So, completely preventable. We could still be in Afghanistan spending money right now, but having our 13 soldiers still alive. But this guy doesn't want that. Obama term 3 doesn't want that. And that's something that people have to come to grips with. As much as you might think Joe Biden might be president wearing the aviator sunglasses and shaking hands with ghosts and shit, it's really Obama somewhere in a basement wearing pajamas and using a microphone to an earpiece to a very non-cognizant Joe Biden. That's our America.
Yeah, that 60 minutes, I think it was 60 minutes interview that he did some years ago might not be so far-fetched.
When people think they're in the lead, or when people think they're winning, they will start letting go of the things that they were holding to their chest. You know, they start letting secrets go. They start telling things that you don't expect to hear while you're struggling to get to your feet. Hello, Aria. How's that? How you doing, hon? Grumpy says, enough for them to raise up against the whole Middle East. Some dude from there shows off the guns he got from that in YouTube, and the people hanging onto those planes' landing gear. That stuff shouldn't have happened. No. The same week that we lost Afghanistan, I was getting ready to go into the hospital and get treated for COVID last year. That was rough. The entire time I was in the hospital, that's all they talked about was Afghanistan.
Yes. Good old COVID. I'm still waiting. I, I'm like, where you at? I don't know. I guess I'm just. I don't know. I guess I just have a good immune system or something. I don't know.
Well, if you go in and get checked for it, you're going to find out you already had it.
Yeah, well, that's what I don't even know, because apparently, if you've had it, you'd know it to hear people talk. And I've not felt nearly that bad at all over the last 2 years. I mean, the worst thing I've uh, felt over that time period was the fact that I ended up getting uh, edema in both of my lower legs. Basically from the knees down.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and and that that's been that's been gone for like over a year, and but my legs still ain't the same. But as far as as far as some sort of freaking flu thing, no. But,
There's been so many people have been banned off of social media because they talked about things and they said things that upset big tech and big pharma.
mm-hmm. But though what and you talk about that type of stuff, controlling the narrative, that MSM and social media has been a party to. It's and, the one of the things that has just really galled the shit out of me is them comparing the whole January 6th thing to to 9/11, or and or Pearl Harbor.
See, I don't hear the Pearl Harbor reference that often, but we're getting to the point where the people that were at Pearl Harbor are largely dead, 99% of them.
Mm.
And that makes me sad because now we're getting to the point where it's 21 years after 9/11. And I only saw 2 of the 5 big networks talk about today being 9/11.
Mm. Well, I seemed like I mean, I haven't actually seen anything, but it seems like I got a notification or 2 on my phone about Mr. Potato Head, giving some sort of speech, about today.
Could you imagine being a 12-year-old girl and you sold the most Girl Scout cookies, and so they send you to go see the president, and you're there with your family, and you're there pretty proud in your Sunday best, and this old creepy 80-something-year-old man leans into you, and he sniffs your hair, and you gotta hold still on camera. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine how scared you'd get as this guy with a bad comb over and aviator sunglasses, and he just took off his mask, and now he's coughing up in your shoulder?
Yeah.
Joe Biden scares the shit out of me.
Yeah, It's funny too because seriously, it seems like every time he's on TV and he has a mask on, right after he takes the mask off, he gives a little, you know.
Yep.
It's like, I'm like, why even bother? I mean, we all of us with half a brain know it's just fucking optics to begin with.
Yeah,
But
it's theater. It's dinner theater. Bowsette says, I was at the end of basic training when 9/11 happened. Ugh. What year did you enlist in Shellback?
well, actually, my first day of boot camp was the day after Christmas in 1996.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I was actually on my second Westpac. It's the 6-month deployment, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and we were on our way back home when all this shit went down, and for a little bit we were we had the possibility of being turned around and to spend a few more months in the Gulf, but they decided that we weren't needed, and the people that were the carrier group that was replacing us would be able to handle it. So we got to keep on coming back home.
Like I said, I was at a friend's house that day. We stayed the night because it had a late evening. Went out and saw The Musketeer the night before, which wasn't that great of a movie. Wasn't that bad of a movie. It wasn't that great. And then the next day, we get phone calls coming in. So we turn on the TV and get to watch this. There's like 4 dudes with their Pentium 2s and Pentium 3s trying to do this Diablo 2 run. Well, there goes that vacation. And that's what we had to deal with. We had to deal with that. I haven't been happy. I wasn't happy from 2001 into 2007. I started seeing a break in things. But where I lived at, it was pretty poorly implemented, and Decatur, Illinois lost a lot of jobs over the next year. I wouldn't recommend anybody go there. That's just my own personal opinion. Awesome One says, I was at the airport. All flights were grounded, and for the first time, we had to use trucks instead of airplanes at FedEx. Bowsette says, people still wearing masks and got like 6 booster shots, still getting sick. Some people still dying. You can't talk sense into others when the proof is literally in their face. It's disgusting. Yeah, that's the problem with a lot of people. The masks became a symbol of their religion. I know some people don't like talking about religion, but that's their belief. I mean, you're talking about scientism. They've got Fauci as their pope. And then the CDC starts talking about masks again this week, and I'm thinking, wow, we're going right back into it. I don't think we will down here in Texas. I think the rest of the nation that voted poorly will.
Well, I mean, know, they you know they're still kind of beating that drum, but at the same time, I think I think they figured out that it's lost a little bit of its luster because they're like, oh hey, look over here, what's that coming this way? Oh, it's monkeypox.
Quick, Klaus, grab my shoulders.
Yeah.
Get about 14 people with you, and we can all transmit this together. It'll be the new super spreader. Give me that ball gag. I will have puppy play.
Which I don't know. I think it's kind of funny with the, with the certain group that they're trying to, that they're really trying to scare with this monkeypox thing, because if you if you remember, once upon a time back in the 80s, in which a certain individual whose name rhymes with ouchie, he was also involved in a little scare back in the 80s called HIV and AIDS.
Do you remember the paper I wrote in 1984? I recommended all gay men to wear masks because if they were going to engage in fellatio, I didn't need them to be exhaling after they swallowed a load, because they would be spewing splooge back into the atmosphere and getting Mom and Dad Jones and their 2.5 kids sick with AIDS. So I wanted them to mask up, and nobody was masking up. Nobody masked up for AIDS, and now we all have AIDS.
Yeah. But I mean, that was supposed to, have been, an exclusive thing, for that certain, demographic or whatever word I want to use.
The bisexuals fucked it up. The bisexuals.
It ended up, being, quite the killer of straight people too. So.
Bowsette says, Awesome One says, these are the people that have been indoctrinated that subscription to drugs makes you healthy. Bowsette, monkeypox is a thing as much as a goof. Except that monkeypox has been transmitted to animals too. Think about that one. Yep, Liberace's dog had AIDS.
Well, actually, the monkeypox, actually, first reared its ugly head, or was discovered or made or whatever, back in like 1957 or something.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing. It's been around all this time.
And the first the first human occurrence was in the 70s. So,
was there like an ad in the back of a magazine? Want to earn money now? Help Big Pharma figure out some things. Come get this shot. Be a guinea pig.
Well, the thing is, that's what they've done, with the with the jab, and they didn't even have to pay people. They were just like, hey, we got this thing for free. Come get it.
Come try your metformin, you diabetic fuckers. Come try your metformin. It's the
And
same thing what I did with remdesivir last year. Like, this isn't working. This is bad.
and if you're of a certain certain belief, or or if you're in the know of certain things, this handy dandy little free cure all actually affects your immune system to where you will get sick more often. So then in turn you will have to keep getting the pokey poke, and one day, if you survive long enough, you have to just keep getting it to keep surviving.
I've heard, and
Allegedly. Disclaimer.
I, I've read studies that are allegedly true on this, but yeah, the poke hasn't been that great for a lot of people. And I haven't read about a situation where, oh yeah, I've had like eight vaccinations and inoculations, and nothing happened to me so far. No, I haven't read that. I haven't read that. Every time like number 2 or number 4 inoculation happens, it's like, and then I got the coof. I feel sorry for him. I really do. Like, you could have kept it out of your body. When I used to get the shot for flu, because I was Navy, and that was what they made us do on one of the ships. You got to get your flu shot. For the next 3 days, I'd be damn near laid up in bed because they had dead viruses of the flu in with the flu shot. Do you remember that?
I don't really remember getting a whole lot of flu shots while I was in the Navy, if any.
Were you West Coast or East Coast?
West Coast.
Okay, that explains a lot because we had these guys in the Gulf of Mexico at their Navy locations, be Ingleside or Corpus Christi NAS, and whoever was in charge of us, like every time a new inoculation or a new whatever came around, like off we got shuttled, like the duty personnel of the day, 20, 30 of us. Most of us would see each other on the next inoculation in about another 4 months. But those days after that shot, we would just be sicker than a dog. Now, I never got the anthrax shots. That's like a series of 10 shots or 12 shots that would leave a tennis ball. You'd have this tennis ball sized mound of flesh that would not go down. And by the time the swelling stopped, it was time for your next shot. I didn't get that, thank God. But my buddies have gotten that because they were Air Force Rangers. And that was something that happened to them every time they got sent overseas. My shot was more like a peanut butter shot, like they give you in boot camp. But like you were down for 72 hours.
Yeah. No, I got the anthrax pokey poke because my very first trip out of the country, courtesy of the Navy, was to Saudi Arabia. So
I'm not going to ask what you were doing over there, but that's really weird that they sent you West Coasty over there.
well, I was it was my first command. It was a electronic attack squadron. And so we actually cover the Air Force as well as the Navy for that type of thing. And so yeah, we got sent to the I believe it is now no longer in service, but we got sent to Prince Sultan Air Base somewhere outside of Riyadh, like seriously, like out in the middle of the desert, you know, like it it was far enough away from the city where we couldn't see it. You know, it's like
You couldn't
you know
see the lights from the city. You're far away.
you walk the perimeter of that base, and all you saw was sand. So, uh, but yeah, it was an but it was an Air Force base though. So, even though it was out in the middle of the desert, we there there was you know, very good food. There were individual shower stalls. There was not one but two swimming pools.
You didn't get a chance to shower in masses? How are you supposed to get the monkey pox?
But so yeah, it you know, for being out in the middle of the sand, it was pretty cush. So
I'll just say that Kuwait was about the same way. It wasn't. I won't talk nicely about Kuwait. All right. The one time I go out to eat, I about vomit because I'm watching other tables and their table manners. That's the first and last time that happened. We're done. I couldn't wait to get back on the FOB. I'm good.
you know, what was what's funny, you know, I mean, you know, you and I'm not, you know, I'm not necessarily trying to bag on anyone's religion, but
We have
you know,
already, so I'm
the
looking
you know,
well.
the main religion in that part of the world, right?
Mhm.
That you know, has been known to you know, push people off of the roofs of buildings for even being alleged to be in a homosexual relationship. Um,
Which is
we
really funny because that same religion is practiced in Turkey, and they found no problem having sex with young boys.
well, I was I was gonna say was you know, sometimes you know, some of us Navy dudes would be tasked with you know, helping to uh, you know, provide bodies for security details, right?
Hmm.
And one of my fellow sailors uh, told us a story of how he walked into this one building and walked in on you know you know, guy number one giving it to guy number two, and, and he was just like, okay, you know, and he turned around, he just turned around and, you know, headed back out. But you know, but he's like they just both looked at me, you know, and kind of grinned, and you know, was like,
They kept
you know,
going.
like, oh, you know, like, oh no, you know, it's okay, you know, and it's like, you know, basically it's like, you know, the you know, you know, women are for making babies, but you know, if you just want to have a little bit of fun, you know, but you know, at the you know, yet at the same time, you know, it's like you know, they can they can look at one of their neighbors and be like, he is a homosexual, throw him off the building, you know.
Chimerian enters the stream. He's like, ah, damn it, so late in the stream. Hey, Kai, if you want to, scroll up to grab the stream yard if you want to jump in here. Yeah, that was something we found kind of weird because we were given this pamphlet when we had the Turkish sailors come on board the USS McCandless, and we were given like a opportunity to read the pamphlet as to what to do, what to say, what not to do, what not to say. I didn't read that, by the way. I wasn't given enough responsibility to do that. I was in the kitchen. The Turkish chief's mess, you know, is shared with our chief's mess, and These guys finally stagger in 5 minutes before breakfast is over. Senior chief is like, Bruce, you don't understand him, obviously, so just go get him a fucking American breakfast. And I went, took care of that, brought back, eggs, sausage, bacon, some fritters, hash browns. And this guy is like, is it pork? Is it pork? Is it pork? He sounds like the Swedish chef trying to interpret to me, is that pork? And I have no idea what he's saying. And I take away his plate and I give it to somebody else. I'm like, if you won't eat it, somebody else will. Well, finally the senior chief was laughing his ass off. I was like, I knew you were going to do that. You fuck me every time. You only give me 2 strips of bacon. You give that foreigner fucking 6 strips of bacon. The fuck? Is he blowing you? I'm like, no, chief. No, senior chief.
Hey, so Grumpy said something, and it's not that it's not that they're people of other religions don't engage in such things. It's just that those other religions don't they still don't. They're no longer in the practice of putting people to death for such things.
A lot of those religions still are in the practice of putting people to death for those things. It's in the areas that we're focusing on because they're areas where we have our military personnel and our tax money going to. Hello, Chimerian. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Just poking in.
Chimerian, I want you to meet my friend TJC. His name is Shellback.
Pleasure.
You can take a wild guess as to what service he was part of.
Oh, man, I don't know. I'll figure it out eventually.
How are you doing on this day?
Hey, I'm here. I'm alive. That's all that matters.
CBK Ply says, perfect timing. I'm hungry. Now I want bacon. Awesome One's like, yeah, they still practice those things. They very much do. There's certain parts of the world where they don't, but there's other places that we're focused on that they seem to have those barbaric practices still put into play. And it's not a humane thing. I'll just say that, I'm not saying that, I'm sympathizing with one group or another group. I'm just saying, like, can we pull our troops out of there? Can we pull our money out of there?
No, that'd be easy.
Yeah, that'd be too easy. Are you going to be on is Shadow and Sun? Are they streaming or are they done streaming for the day?
Not sure, honestly.
Charlotte Williams asked, Hi, Marion, why didn't you chime in on the Legion of Myth stream today?
Because I really didn't have that much to say on the topics. Sure, I mean, I could go on for like an hour on various topics, but really, nah. Not when I kind of was reading the room.
I woke up today and I checked my Discord and I saw you had a huge explanation of a wall of text, and it was before I had coffee. I'm like, this fucking Christ, Chimerian starts early on this shit.
I'm programmed to be up at 5:30 in the morning. I have my first coffee by 6.
Yeah. Well, I can't really read a room unless it's in English. So.
That's true.
I got to get you this coffee, Chimerian. I got to get you this fucking Morning Reaper stuff that I just got today. Whole week out. Now, I've been a big advocate of Blackout Coffee for over 8 months, and it's their best-selling coffee that they've got, but I've never tried it before today. I've been missing out. That's all I'm going to say. I've been missing the fuck out on this shit. Oh, my God.
That good?
It's really good coffee, in my opinion. I'm probably talking it up, and you're going to be like, oh, this stuff tastes like butt. This stuff tastes like ass. But no, I love this coffee.
I drink burnt ass truck stop coffee half the time. What do you think? Anything better than that? So
Which truck stop though? Are you talking Pilot? Because Pilot has a good morning blend.
Pilot's pretty good. Love's pretty good, though.
I'd stay away from Travel America if I were
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, but when you get there at certain times and you can tell it hasn't been changed out in a while, burnt coffee is burnt coffee.
Mm-hmm.
You know, okay, since we're kind of on the tangent of truck stops, remember when truck stops used to have like actual real sit down restaurants instead of like an Arby's or a fucking Subway or some
Yes, and I love those.
Travel America still has those by and large. They're called Country Kitchen is the name of the franchise that's with Travel America.
There's an amazing little one, like the middle of nowhere in Gilman, that I just love stopping at. They have great food there. Can't.
Well, I mean, there are truck stops that still have like, you know, real restaurants, but they're usually, you know, like independent. You know, they're not one of the chains.
Yeah. Oof. God, I need to go. God, that sounds good right now.
What does?
Just a nice truck stop meal. Just sounds good right now.
Well, we had my hometown. You know, we had a good one. You know, that was close enough to my hometown. We'd go there sometimes. You know, to eat instead of one of the restaurants that were closer to town.
God.
Blind Bag and Pilot are the same company. I don't know if they get their coffee from the same location or same provider, but I know they are part of the same umbrella. Grumpy Old Ninja advertising my Blackout coffee. I'll be getting another coffee affiliate here in about a week and a half to 2 weeks. I'm finally gonna. I'm going to have 2 coffee providers giving discounts to my viewers. It's just going to help out you guys. You pick out what company you want to help out. One of them is Blackout. One of them is 22 Sierra.
Yeah.
And they're great fucking coffees.
There's one that I see on what is it, Instagram, I think.
Mhm.
Quite a bit, called Pale Horse.
I've never heard of it. Hey, Bowsette, take care of yourself, hon, okay?
And but yeah, there's a couple of companies that are that are along the same lines that of BRCC, but they didn't go ape shit over certain people practicing their Second Amendment like BRCC did.
That's my biggest problem with BRCC. They had a problem with Kyle Rittenhouse.
But well, have you tried like Krigler or freaking the quarterings or like the Geek Blend stuff? Any of those?
I've tried some of the Geek Blend, and I didn't try Nerdotics Blend yet, but that's on the list of what to order. Actually, for the Geek Blend, I've done the Goblin King brew, which is really good. The old lady loved the dark brew of the witches blend, which is a dark roast, and those are both by Geek Blend Coffee. Geek Blend does a lot of franchise names, so
Yeah.
them getting a hold of Nerdrotic didn't surprise me once I knew that, and I really am happy about Geek Blend. Even if they're an Illinois brand, they're not a bad group of people. They really do love coffee. They love coffee more than they love politics, and that's good. The other
Is the
brand, go
is the
ahead.
Goblin King? Is the Goblin King? Is that a David Bowie Labyrinth reference or something else?
Absolutely.
Mm.
Yep, you've got Jareth on the bag there.
Oh, right on.
You've got uh, coffee flavored coffee by the Quartering. I haven't tried that yet, but everybody tells me it's really good. People have told
Yeah.
me that there's an argument on Discord and Nerdrotic server where you have people that are like, listen, we love Gary, but I like the Quartering's coffee better. Then you have the others that are they're like, how dare you say that?
I haven't been on Discord since I heard that little thing about them punishing you for things you say on other platforms.
That is in the TOS, but I haven't been punished yet. And I'm an absolute dick to authoritarian, dickheads. I'm a terrible person, according to the Bolsheviks. But I'll do what I can to get good coffee out there and to advertise good coffee and to tell people the truth about shit.
It's a fun, good combo.
Yeah. I really, I don't mean to be such a coffee snob, but I mean, do you know where Flat Rock is, Illinois?
Top of my head, no.
Okay. Do you ever go down towards like Palestine or Robinson?
Yeah.
Okay. Down south of Robinson is a little town called Flat Rock, and there is a coffee shop called the Maxwell House. And they do sell Maxwell House coffee there with Maxwell House beans that taste a lot better than what Maxwell House out of a can does, which is probably the saddest coffee known to man.
Yeah.
Okay. Real quick. Like, how far away and in what direction from Carbondale is that?
It's to the east. To the east of Carbondale, you'll bump into Flat Rock. It's kind of northeast east if you're doing that, but it's not hard to find. And Flat Rock is a cute little town. There's a lot of little history there that used to be a coal town years ago, till Illinois just said coal bad.
That,
And that's a relatively good thing. CBK Ply says dark roast coffee is shit. It's got good flavor and less caffeine. The caffeine's burnt out of it. Absolutely. Parrot had asked me about Walton's Best. I'm not a big fan of enema brew coffee. I don't need that. I destroy the porcelain on my toilet as it is.
Yeah, it's funny, like it seems like somewhere along the line I heard that the darker roast is actually more more mild than the lighter roast. Like a lighter roast has more of a more of a zing to it.
It
Um,
does. The caffeine.
that's why like your breakfast, quote unquote breakfast coffees will
Yes.
be like a medium roast or lighter.
I think if you guys would experiment with that. I think the lighter coffees you find, they might not be thoroughly black like this Harambe miniature here, but I think you'll actually find that they taste pretty good. And about 15 minutes after you set the cup down, you're hit. You're like, what the hell? Now I'm
What's
up all day.
what's the saying? Dick's out for Harambe.
Yes, Dick's out for Harambe.
That's
Come here and gets a flashback to 2016.
God no. Can I just like forget that all those memes ever happened? That would be nice.
The thing that I remember about 2016 the most was that when people started talking about 2016, about how weird of a year it was, the first thing they cite is Harambe. Like, he affected your life that much? Okay.
That part always confused me. It was like why it did.
Man of War, I'm not telling you to imbibe ink. I'm just saying that dark roast coffees are usually like this, and I can't watch you drink black coffee if you're gonna ask for like a good, effective wake up. Go for breakfast blends. I'm telling you. Yeah. Harambe seemed to kick off the entire craziness of 2016, but wasn't it 2015 when we lost Leonard Nimoy?
I don't even remember. I wish I did.
I want to say it was in 2015. That was when my life, when I turned 40, that was when my life went downhill as far as like all of my heroes that I loved, all of the guys that I could trust them for good endorsements. They started falling apart. Like Leonard Nimoy, he's dead. And then you had some other notable celebrities. Then fucking Arlie Ermey died in 2017. That was a hit.
Yeah,
That was a hit.
good old Gunny.
Did you ever hear him? He would be on WLS about once a month or once every 2 months on the Rokon and Drive Home show, whatever they had. They would do remotes over in, like, say, they would do a remote show out of Rockford or somewhere in Chicago, and they'd wheel out Gunny, and he'd come out and he'd chat with Rokon, and the guy was just such a good man. He was real personable, and he was just one of these sane individuals that you could turn it on, and here's this man from the greatest generation or a little bit after that, and he would talk to you about how the world was and why he used to hit Marine Corps boot camp kids. And he's like, I just give them a pop and solar plexus, and they kind of got the understanding that they weren't the king shit. It was amazing. Nowadays you try to punch a kid in boot camp and you're going to go see the old man. And he was just a joy to listen to. And Rokon would bring him on every remote he could. And he was just fun. And I wish I'm going to have to do some searching on WLS's archives or something to find the old bits with Arlie Ermey just sitting there doing a radio show remote for an hour. I think my friends would really get in touch with that. They would really embrace that, because they would get a chance to hear one of America's men of common sense just talk about how things had been and what the 60s was like and how things evolved into the 70s. And he was a lot of fun to listen to.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know about now, but I mean, when I was going through boot camp, they just, they'd make you freaking, they'd make you exercise till they got tired.
That was started in '92 for us.
What's funny though is, like, after enough push-ups and sit-ups and whatnot, you wish they would have just come by and like smacked you a little bit.
I was part of the initial push-up club because we got in August '93, and supposedly they'd stopped beating on kids in the summer, like a few weeks beforehand, but they were supposed to have stopped doing that like in '92. And the Navy was starting to see the problems already with the insubordination, with the new Gen Xers, the graduates of 1993, and everybody after that. And I don't know how the Navy is now. I haven't been in it since 2001, but I can only imagine it's not the same healthy group of individuals. I mean, there might be some small commands, or there might be some people who are still really hardcore, which is good, but fuck.
Well, they had those, I mean, like I said, I enlisted in '96, or started in '96, and they had those stress cards, right?
We didn't have those.
Yeah. Well, the thing with our RDCs, recruit division commanders, basically that's the drill sergeants.
Company commanders, for those of you that don't know.
They told us, they're like, all right, they're like, pull out your cards, and they're like, okay, give them. They're like, all right, give those to us. Like, we're not going to use this shit. So we're like,
I just put in chat, Shellback is the first person I've heard firsthand say anything about him. I think it was a pilot program they did, and it was just like a rumor after that. You always heard about stress cards. I never had heard anybody else talk about them firsthand. You're the first person I've heard say anything about that. And I believe you. I'm not saying I doubt you, but I'm saying I believe you. But I was always thinking it had to be like some sort of like test or some sort of thing. And the Army had their own fuck up. They did the beret. Everybody gets a beret bullshit. Charlotte Williams, Shellback was just talking about this thing called a stress card, which in theory you're supposed to have it on your person in boot camp. And whenever you are suffering too much, or the stress of boot camp life is a bit more than what you can handle, you say, I have to offer up my stress card, and I have to say that I'm please refrain from beating on me right now because I'm unable to mentally process or function further.
Like you get to take a time out, basically. Yeah.
And this was something that they were talking about a lot in talk radio in 98 and 99. You heard G. Gordon Liddy on the radio talking about this all the time, ripping the Navy up. And then the Army came out with we shut the Green Berets up, and now everybody in the Army gets a beret. Liddy fucking blew his stack on that. He couldn't handle that. That was his talk for like the next 3.5 weeks. He was giving grief to the U.S. Army for putting a gag order on the Green Berets because the Army brass wanted everybody to have a beret. Everybody gets a trophy. I'm saying names that some of you guys don't understand or don't recall. G. Gordon Liddy was a lawyer that went into the Army, and he served in the era for the Korean War, came out, became a G-man for J. Edgar Hoover, and then during Nixon's presidential time, he was one of the individuals that was caught putting bugs in the Watergate Hotel. Later on, after he was released and pardoned by Jimmy Carter, of all people and presidents, he became a radio show talk show radio host, and he had a lot of books out. He was really fucking good. He was fun to listen to because he could talk from experience and he could tell you about how things were. He would read read articles on off of the web, and he'd start blowing a gasket because just like Chameleon, whenever Kai starts reading shit that's not put together right, why do you have this adjective in front of this verb? That is not a proper sentence structure. G. Gordon Liddy would do that. This is what happens when you have public education teach your masses. And Chimerian is of that same cut. He might have gone to public school for a little bit, but this man that's in our chat right now, that's in our panel right now,
Yeah.
this guy is a fucking scholar.
I won't lie. I spent a lot of time listening to to him. So yeah.
Hey, my whole K through 12 was public school, and I didn't turn out retarded like some of them are these days.
Thankfully, back when we were going to school, TJC, they weren't trying to teach us about pronouns and about how you should be voting and what the importance is of apologizing for your whiteness.
And we actually had history and social studies and civics.
I want to say it was G. Gordon Liddy that actually forced me to start critically thinking a lot more than what I had been at that time, because I was 24, and when you're 24 and you're out of the military, you're just kind of stumbling around. You still got a hard dick in the mornings, and you're asking questions like, "What do I need to do in order to earn a paycheck here?" And you're getting your checklist ready to go, and then you go do it. But after you have this routine down, you're kind of asking, there's got to be more to this. There's just got to be more. And G. Gordon Liddy kind of rewired my brain on how to think on things, and thank God I had him for 2 hours a day to listen to. And then he had Limbaugh on right after that, and that was many years of gloriousness.
Yeah.
Liddy retired in like 2010, 2011.
And then we got, unfortunately, someone I think was the inferior choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I know it's like everyone. Oh shit! What the fuck is his name? The bullshit guy who used to come on right before Limbaugh. So
Mike Reagan.
Currently the idiot on the.
I don't know who you listen to. I'm listening to, and I listen to Steven Crowder when I can.
He's good.
And occasionally I listen to Glenn Beck. Glenn Beck is like Alex Jones light.
Man, he's Alex Jones. If Alex Jones, really just decided to not have any balls. I mean, Glenn Beck is literally just like the pussy's really is just the pussy's Alex Jones. Like, he pushes just enough of the line where you think, I'm crazy but not crazy. I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah, I prefer Alex Jones over Glenn Beck. I'm not gonna lie. Charlotte Williams asks, where do you go to learn or relearn things, or where do you go to begin a study on how to actually critically think? Is what I believe she's saying, and I might be mansplaining that. I hope I'm not, but where would one go, Chimerian?
To start critical thinking?
Yeah, if you need to train your brain a little harder on analysis.
Honestly, it's one of those first skills would just be simply. That's a really hard question, because it really just comes down to. I think one of the easiest ways too is if you read any kind of article or any kind of listen to anyone. If anyone's making a play on your emotions, like they're just trying to like always listen to what the emotional context of an article or what someone's saying, and if they're trying to instill you to hate, love, like, or just any form of emotion, stop stop reading it, and then go back and try to take out all the emotion inspiring parts of their diatribe and their dribble, and try to see what the actual information is, not what they're trying to make you think, not trying to make you how they want you to feel. If they tell you to hate, find out why they want you to hate. Ask the question, who's benefiting from this particular article? It's like, if somebody's coming to you and saying, do this, ask, why are you telling me to do this? Who's benefiting? Are you trying to make yourself is the person who's trying to convince you, trying to make you richer, trying to make you smarter, or do anything like that? Ask what they're getting out of it, because that'll help you figuring out if they're just trying to pull some bullshit over your eyes or not.
It's a really good answer. There's a book I read about 2004 called Blood, Money, and Power. And it was a book on LBJ shortly after the assassination of JFK. And it takes a real hard critical look at what happened in the LBJ White House and why that time period is so important to him and to American history in general, where you start having a real big shift go on in terms of power. And you thought K Street was powerful before then. Well, K Street came into their own after all that crap happened.
Yeah.
You saw the ABC media influence really start to dominate what happened in the Beltway. You saw a lot of people really given a little bit more ear time to schlups like Dan Rather, and it was all because JFK was no longer part of this world, and LBJ just kind of moved in. He's just kind of conveniently there. And I would recommend that book to anybody if for nothing else, the historical context that's in there.
I think part of me just I don't trust a lot of what the media says anymore. So
no, not after this last 2 or 4 years. Not after this last 20 years.
Yeah, this entire century, they've all been kind of crap.
And shit, I was really wrong on Charlotte Williams' question. She's asking about sentence structure, never ending with a preposition, etc.
Oh,
Or we can go to relearn that.
Oh, I apologize.
My bad, Charlotte.
We're really useless. I love it.
I'm a dork because I'm like, I've written 2 books and I can't answer the simple question that Charlotte has here.
We're terrible. I love it.
Yeah. Now this is what happens with I'm public education. My bad. Sentence structure.
Oh.
I'm not even sure if I remember what a preposition is.
Okay, Charlotte.
Isn't that where you make somebody an offer?
No,
that's a proposal. Never mind. What?
It's okay. I'm going to throw her this right here. It's EnglishClub.com. There you go. Bam. Brave is not my favorite browser for finding things. That would be actually Bing, but Brave hides all your information, so that's my default. And that was the one that came up first. I'm like, that's a good stab in the right direction. But English Club looks like they're very helpful. I screwed up, Kai. I shouldn't have written those 2 books and then published them without going through another English course in college, right?
Oh, Jesus Christ! I have no idea what this higher education thing is. So,
wait, you never went to college?
I went for a grand total of of a year and a half, got into a car accident, went homeless, and dropped out.
Okay.
So I know what it's like, but never made it anywhere.
Yeah, I've got like a lot of college credits and no degree, so. And that's because I switched from industrial design to law enforcement, which basically qualifies me to be a phys ed teacher. Yeah. So we're at the 2-hour mark right now. Shellback, I don't want you to stay up too much longer. I think you need to probably get some rest if you got to go to bed at 7 tonight. It's almost 5 o'clock here. You're gonna have. You're gonna
Where
have.
are you stay? Where are you at? Right?
Where's who at?
You.
Me?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
I'm in the northern California, aka Washington.
Understood.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
kind of like Shadow. He's way over there in the west.
Yeah. See, there's California. Okay, there's California, and then there's Northern California, aka Oregon, and then there's Northern California, which is Washington.
Which is where all the weirdos are at.
Because the whole West Coast is fucked.
It is.
It's all
It
right.
is.
Yeah. Thank God I'm not a local, but I'm a transplant.
I don't want to think about anyone who was there first and stayed
But
there.
I did breed with a couple of the locals, so I do have a couple of kids that are from the Northwest. But I know at least one of them has grown up with some common sense, because he was he had grand plans of joining the military after he graduated high school, and then Mr. Potato Head became commander in chief, and he's like, I think I'll wait.
God, that's a horrible description of it.
It is. It is. What night is the yelling at parked cars?
What was that?
I was asking Shellback, what night is yelling at parked cars?
Comics does it on Mondays.
Okay. And are you still doing a pre-show on Gilded for that?
No. Well, the Gilded, that's Nick Weiser that does it on Gilded.
Okay. For some odd reason, I was thinking you had a pre-show over on Gilded.
Yeah, I had a thing that I called the Yellowneck Park Cars warm up, but after I got switched to working on Mondays, I'm like, yeah, I can't do this anymore. So
I don't blame you. I want you to get your rest. We're going to wrap this stream up here. I'm going to ask Kai Kai, we've been seeing some things appear on your channel, and kind of interested in what you have planned next, or are you just happy with like the clips we get whenever you're in like mid rant and we upload that, because it's usually filled with good juicy tidbits and facts.
I think the thing I keep wanting to like elaborate on things that we talk about, but I just can't usually find a time to actually turn on the record button and actually write or think.
Well, you gave me like 3 paragraphs in Discord today, and I'm like, I really want to share that. I really want to just like get into the weeds on that and just like let you expound on that one of these days, because I think that would be fucking great. You've read up on space anomalies like black holes and astronomy and such like that. Not astrology, kids. Astronomy, the study of suns and planets and
I don't study weird bullshit.
No. And Manowar, I read your comment earlier where you were a wastewater treatment guy for like a couple decades. And I have a lot of hats off to you on that, man. That's not an easy job, nor is it a pleasant job. But, you know, people that are in sanitation like myself, we fucking depend on you, dude. That's all there is to it.
I'd like to say that I still consider Pluto a planet. Not a dwarf planet or whatever the hell they're calling it now.
What is the classification that they have out there right now, Blaine? Because I'm pretty certain you would keep up on something like that.
What
And scream at the radio if they
what,
fuck up. On that.
Pluto's current classification?
Yeah,
Dwarf planet currently.
dwarf planet.
Dwarf planet. It hasn't. It doesn't fall into the majority of what qualifies as being a planet. Namely, it hasn't cleared its orbital path. It's got a whole lot of other issues to it, and only because of the fact that if we let Pluto in as a planet, we have to add like 27 other planets to the solar system.
Because it's like Ganymede and fucking Io and Europa and like that.
Ceres and several other Kuiper Belt objects would suddenly be able to qualify as being planets because they are roughly the same size or larger than Pluto. But we found Pluto first, we called it a planet. So giving it the grandfather clause of being a planet is one thing, but as we started to figure out that it's only one of a lot of objects. So while Ceres and a few of the big asteroids in the main belt would qualify by Pluto standards, we would suddenly have to, like I said, add like somewhere around 26 or more planets to the solar system, which is the reason why we had to downgrade Pluto because, well, gets kind of confusing now.
What? Just because Pluto's small and has issues? Come on.
I'm going to ask you something, Blaine, and maybe this is just almost too George Norrie for you, but
okay.
The asteroid belt.
Yes,
they were talking about anybody with any accreditation. They were talking about the asteroid belt could have been like a planet years ago.
Right.
Anybody ever talk about that, or is that just I read?
You're not like okay. The asteroid belt is pretty much a failed planet because you look at Ceres. Ceres is probably what would be considered the failed planetary, the core of a planet that failed. But if you start looking into theories about gas giant migration, where Jupiter rampaged through the solar system and knocked a lot of things out, which prevented the formation of what would have been the planet between Jupiter and Mars, because you can also see scars on Mars where you can see where a vast chunk of something was torn out of the planet, along the northern. It's either north or south. I can't remember. I need to see the map.
Northern hemisphere on Mars.
What was that?
I want to say it's the northern hemisphere on Mars. There's like a whole swath of land that's just like strip mined or just cut right the fuck out of it.
Yeah. So whatever it was that destabilized and sucked up all the remaining resources that were there, scarred Mars, destroyed any hope of forming a fourth rocky planet, and so we get to see Ceres, a massive block of what probably is metal, just kind of floating there, being the dead iron core of what was a planet, what could have been a planet once.
When I tell my friends and I tell my chat that I have a friend named Chimerian who is a very dedicated man to learning on a daily basis. I'm not saying that you're without peer. You have a lot of peers. You have a lot of people that you listen to, and you listen to them well, and you remember facts and figures, which is great. But be on the lookout for this guy's channel, Chimerian. This guy is going to be, he'll have a myriad of topics. He might even get into RPG topics. But I'm telling you that he's got a good amount of knowledge that a lot of individuals probably would benefit from. My name is Bruce. Today we did the September 11th chill and paint and craft stream, which I had two friends jump on. My friend Shellback from the West Coast and my friend from back home, Blaine, also known as Chimerian. And I really want to thank both of these two gentlemen for being here with us today. It's been a pleasure to be part of your life for this day, for the last 2 hours. And if I have the chance to do this again, I'm going to ask if I can do it again. I hope to see you guys again soon. Thank you so much.